Ukraine destroys Russia's sacred Black Sea fleet hub in unprecedented $600 million strike. Today, Ukraine has carried out one of its most complex deep strike operations of the war, reaching from occupied Crimea across Russia's Black Sea coast and far into its industrial interior. In a single extended campaign, Ukrainian drones and missiles have hit landing ships, S-400 air defense batteries, oil terminals, refineries, aviation plants, drone factories, and a key navigation electronics facility that feeds Russia's long-range weapons. Early assessments suggest that Russia may have suffered more than $600 million in damage to critical military and energy infrastructure, much of it difficult to repair quickly. To understand how this happened, the story begins with the first moments of the operation. At 3:40 a.m., while most of the region still lay in darkness, a shaky handheld camera captured the human side of this new phase of the war. In a house not far from the sound of distant detonations, a resident moved nervously through shadowed rooms, muttering half-joking claims of not being afraid, then contradicting themselves as another shockwave rattled the walls. The house creaked and groaned, giving the impression of something alive, reacting to each distant strike. This small scene of denial and fear underlined a larger reality. Ordinary people on both sides now live with the knowledge that the sky can turn hostile in an instant, and that any building, any street, can suddenly become part of a strike corridor. While that camera recorded fear at ground level, a very different picture was unfolding over the Black Sea. Ukrainian forces had already launched waves of drones and long-range missiles aimed at Russia's southern coastline and occupied Crimea. Among these weapons were reportedly Neptune missiles, whose machine vision guidance is designed to remain effective even under intense electronic jamming. Within a single operational window, confirmed and claimed strikes were reported in Novorossiysk, Tuapse, Taganrog, Cheboksary, and at multiple sites in Crimea. The target set was not symbolic. It included a Project 1171 Tapir large landing ship, S-400 air defense positions, the Cheskharis oil terminal, the Tuapse oil refinery, the Taganrog aviation cluster, drone production facilities, and the Progress research plant that produces navigation systems for Russian crews and ballistic missiles. The overarching goal was to weaken Russia's ability to wage long-range war while demonstrating that its interior is no safer than the Ukrainian cities under fire. For Russian military planners, Novorossiysk has long been treated as a sacred harbor. It serves as a main Black Sea logistics node and a critical alternative base for the Black Sea fleet after previous Ukrainian strikes forced warships away from Crimea. Analysts often note that striking Moscow itself would require massive quantities of cruise missiles and ballistic weapons to penetrate deep into the country, but Novorossiysk sits within reach of modern Ukrainian drones flying low over the water. Once the Russian fleet was pushed back and older vessels were forced into more distant harbors, the sea approaches to this port grew more vulnerable, opening the door to an operation that had previously seemed unattainable. Ukrainian planners exploited that opportunity through a layered multi-axis assault. The first wave of drones focused on the S-400 air defense system and associated radar near Novorossiysk. Their function was to close the eyes of local air defenses, blinding or distracting the system just long enough for subsequent waves to punch through. Once these sensors and launchers were suppressed, additional drones and missiles moved in against the primary naval target, a Soviet-era Project 1171 Tapir large landing ship, one of only a handful still in Russian service, and nearby military infrastructure. Almost simultaneously, strikes hit the Cheskharis oil terminal across the bay, igniting fires and forcing Russian emergency crews into a race against spreading damage. The Tapir-class ship, vital for amphibious landings, was tracked by Ukrainian services as a key Russian asset in the Black Sea. A successful long-range strike, supported by extensive intelligence and ground informants for precise targeting, reportedly inflicted permanent, effective combat loss, despite the vessel not sinking outright. The blow to Novorossiysk was amplified by the renewed attack on the Cheskharis oil terminal. This facility can handle close to 40 million tons of oil products annually, making it one of Russia's largest southern export hubs. By hitting loading arms, dockside equipment, and transfer infrastructure, Ukraine seeks not just dramatic footage of flames, but sustained disruption of Russia's oil exports from the Black Sea region. Analysts caution that completely shutting such a complex demands repeated strikes on multiple nodes, including the tunnels and pipelines that feed the port and the railways that supply it. Ukrainian commentators now openly discuss the possibility of targeting those transport tunnels, which, if disabled, could cut both oil flows and rail logistics to the port. Further along the coast, the Tuapse oil refinery and associated facilities were also targeted. Here, Ukraine employed a newer generation of jet-powered drones, often called BARs. These drones use turbojet engines and can fly several hundred kilometers, depending on the balance between fuel load and warhead weight. They are shorter ranged than strategic missiles, but ideal for cross-sea attacks against coastal infrastructure. Flying at very low altitude, below the radar horizon, they approached Tuapse with a characteristic whistling sound, rather than the buzzing of propeller-driven drones, complicating interception attempts for Russian air defense crews. Russian surface-to-air systems, including Pantsir complexes, attempted to intercept incoming drones near Tuapse. Video from the area suggests that some missiles were fired late, or at incorrect altitudes, missing low-flying drones that had already slipped past overhead from the sea. Ukrainian sources state that production of jet-powered BARS drones has now been established at scale, meaning that residents of Russia's southern coast may become accustomed to that whistling engine at night. Each successful hit on a refinery or fuel storage site forces Russia to commit scarce resources to fire suppression and reconstruction, while driving up insurance and transport costs across its energy export network. To support coastal strikes, Ukrainian planners neutralized or degraded Russian radar and missile defenses around Gelendzhik and Sochi, which monitor the Black Sea. Analysts describe the complex operation as a single integrated attack using drones, electronic warfare, and decoys like dipole reflectors. The sequenced attack waves were carefully timed to overload radars, generate false targets, and create temporary blind spots, carving safe corridors through dense Russian air defenses. In Taganrog, Ukraine allegedly destroyed Russia's sole remaining A-60 airborne laser laboratory, a Soviet-era IL-76 variant used for high-energy laser experiments, potentially against ground targets or low Earth orbit satellites. If confirmed, this loss inside its hangar halts Russia's experimental upper atmosphere laser weapons program. The Taganrog attack wave may also have damaged other valuable aircraft and facilities. Among the targets discussed by Ukrainian analysts is the A-100, an advanced airborne early warning and control platform intended as a modernized successor to the A-50, with an estimated detection range approaching that of NATO's AWACS. In addition, several Tu-95 MS strategic bombers were reportedly present for modernization. The cost of the modernization program for 6 Tu-95 MS aircraft has been reported at about $270 million, meaning that every bomber damaged or destroyed on the ground represents not only an airframe lost, but a share of this $270 million investment eliminated in a single strike. The bombers, structurally compromised by modifications to carry heavy external Kh-101 missiles in addition to internal Kh-55S, relied on Taganrog for vital reinforcement and repairs. Damage or disruption at Taganrog will now delay Russia's ability to maintain its strategic aviation readiness. The strike wave also reportedly hit the Berev plant, the Molniya drone facility, and the broader test and modernization center, damaging a key southern Russian aviation hub. Ukrainian forces targeted the Progress facility in Cheboksary, which manufactures navigation modules and electronic components for Shahed-Geran drones, Iskander-M missiles, Kalibr missiles, and guided aerial bombs. Initially, Russian social media highlighted damage to a nearby brewery, showing the proximity of civilian and military infrastructure. Ukrainian communications later confirmed Progress, which has been attacked before, was the main target, not the Black Sea or aviation sector mentioned elsewhere. Hitting such a specialized facility demands precise intelligence. The plant is vast, and not all workshops are critical. Ukrainian special services likely identified key areas like circuit board assembly and antenna production as priority targets. Repeatedly striking these nodes could severely degrade or halt output, forcing Russia to rely more heavily on foreign components, particularly from China. This reliance creates further vulnerabilities to future sanctions, interdictions, or covert actions against external suppliers, multiplying the impact of internal damage. Occupied Crimea is experiencing near-daily explosions, with reports citing detonations around Jankoy, Kerch, Skadovsk, and Feodosia, targeting Russian ammunition, logistics, supply routes, and power infrastructure supporting its southern forces. Due to the retreat of Russian warships and the neutralization of offshore radar, the central Black Sea is now open for Ukrainian operations, making maritime approaches to Crimea more vulnerable to low-flying drones and missiles lacking dense shipborne air defense. Ukrainian analysts theorize that sufficient air and sea-launched systems would enable them to systematically degrade Crimea's defenses from multiple directions. The current strikes, utilizing drones and selected missiles, are the initial phase of this plan. If these strikes continue to dismantle S-400 batteries and radar, it could eventually permit Ukrainian aviation to operate closer to or above Crimea, a long-term goal that these actions are intended to facilitate. Despite internal issues like fires and damage, Russia continues to press on the Zaporizhzhia and Donetsk front lines. Their goal is to expand the land corridor between Donbas and occupied southern regions. Initial frontal assaults near Orikhiv failed against strong Ukrainian defenses. Consequently, Russian forces shifted to an east-to-west creeping offensive, advancing 30 to 40 kilometers from Donetsk toward Zaporizhzhia by utilizing superior manpower rather than complex maneuvers. Pokrovsk has emerged as a focal point in this struggle. A key railway line running between Donetsk and Dnipro divides the town into northern and southern sections. According to Ukrainian reporting, Russian forces have seized much of the southern portion, while Ukrainian defenders hold the northern part, including dominant terrain known as the Pokrovsk Heights. This creates a complex tactical situation in which both sides face partial encirclement risks. Ukrainian troops defend fortified urban and elevated positions, while the northern Russian grouping protrudes into open fields, vulnerable to artillery, long-range drones, and aviation. Ukrainian analysts stress that without timely reinforcement, this sector risks further Russian advances. This northern claw can be worn down over winter, especially using cluster munitions and precision fire. Ukraine's consistent strategy is to hold the ground line while its specialized forces, drones, air force, navy, intelligence, special ops, systematically dismantle Russia's rear capabilities. Striking Russian refineries, ports, aircraft, and electronics plants reduces the intensity of attacks on Ukraine and simultaneously raises the economic cost for Moscow by eroding its energy revenue and military-industrial base. In this extended campaign, Ukraine has shown that it can reach and damage what Russia once called untouchable, the sacred port of Novorossiysk, a unique A-60 laser aircraft in Taganrog, modern early warning platforms, refineries and oil terminals that feed the state budget, and electronics plants like Progress that sustain Russia's missile arsenal. Russian logistics, energy exports, and strategic aviation have all taken blows that cannot be easily reversed. Taken together, these strikes are estimated to have inflicted more than $600 million in losses on Russia's military and critical infrastructure, even as Ukrainian forces continue to resist on the Zaporizhzhia and Donetsk fronts. Ukraine is steadily turning Russia's depth into contested territory. Analysts now debate whether these accumulating losses will halt Russia's offensive ambitions, or whether the Kremlin will press on and risk an even greater defeat. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comment section below.